Welcome back to the class once again, everyone. We recently did a video going over all the best ways to be efficient during double drops, but there's something we didn't talk about that's really important that's about to hit, and that is the additive drops of Princess Kneesa and Captain Rex. So I wanted to start with this video with kind of correcting some false information that we were kind of given, and then I also repeated because that's what we were told at the time, and that is the fact that Princess Kneesa has been added to all dark side nodes as a bonus drop as of tomorrow, or depending on where your time zone, maybe even today. It'll be going live on the 19th. So she's going to go to all dark side battles. You don't need to worry about doing some specific node, of going and using some, not having to farm the characters you want. You can still do what you want, assuming they're on a dark side node, and get her drops. And the exact same thing is true for Rex, except in regards to light side nodes. So again, you don't have to worry about ditching all of your farms, assuming they are on these, and then whatever excess energy you have, you can use that on Kyrotech. Now the question is, I guess before we even get into how we're efficient with this, why should we even be doing this in the first place? Because if we're looking at this purely from a perspective of Galactic Legend Leia, then it seems pointless may not be the right word, but it's not that big of a deal because we're still waiting on two marquee characters right now, Scout and Drogon, and we don't even have Drogon in the game. So he's not going to be farmable for a few months, so why should we bother accelerating these characters now? And there's two reasons. Number one, Rex is stupid good. He not only takes the Phoenix faction and makes them go from 0 to hero, but they're actually beating really high relevant things out there. And pretty much all of us have Phoenix at a minimum start, or maybe even Gear 12, now that Gear 12 has been made a lot more accessible through MK1. So it's just a great addition to get into your roster sooner. And we're going to look at the numbers here again in a second, and we're going to see that it's going to actually be really challenging to get 7 stars through this event alone. So even just getting a jump start to, you're probably sitting at 3 stars like right now, like myself, even getting a jump start to 5 or 6 stars and getting to use this character sooner, maybe even getting to apply his Datacron, you're going to get more bang for your buck. So that is exciting in its own right. And I will say, we don't really know where Drogon and Scout are going. If they both end up in Cantina and you're one of those people who has a ton of crystals that can accelerate things, then having the heart nodes already out of the way is very beneficial, as well as you could also just get Rex to say 5 or 6 stars through the additive drops, and then immediately once you're done, you could keep slow farming them and maybe do some refresh. So there's reasons to want to do this. This might not be for everyone, I will say that, but there are multiple reasons that the character is just good, and you actually can milk this in a way that to overall help your roster. So we are going to look at the stats for this to see what we should be doing depending on what your goal is. And this is going to vary a little bit. There are a lot of people, not a lot of people, there's some people right now that are in a different time zone that are feeding us drop rate information based off of what they have anecdotally. I'm not really sure what to trust. I know I've heard like guildmates or different servers or just a bunch of random sources, and I'm really not entirely sure which one has the perfect drop rate. And really with one day's drop, it's hard to tell. That being said, I'll explain these charts here in a second. I do have 4 different scenarios, assuming the drop rate is 4% per energy, it is 0.35, 3%, and 0.25, really being the worst case scenario. I've heard anywhere between these 4 different variations depending on where the source was coming from. Again, it's too early on in the game to really know which one of these is true, so we're going to want to analyze all of them. Also, it was said in the announcement I showed earlier, but this is scaled to energy. That is a fancy way of saying that you're not going to get more Rex shards if you farm a 6 node farm than a 20 node farm. Pick what you need, whether it be a ship, a character, Kyrotech, relic material, like a relic salvage that you can get, doesn't matter. Just pick what you want to farm. There's not really a strategic advantage in farming this over that. So when we're looking at what we want to get out of this, this is the amount of energy that you need to be able to unlock this character at 7 stars, at 6 stars, at 5 stars, at 4 stars, depending on where the drop rate is. You can see if the drop rate sucks, if it's 0.25, and you're getting very few shards per pull, you're gonna look at something like 100,000, or not 100,000, 11,000 energy to be able to get a 7-star unlock. That is a relatively good deal, like if you want to start comparing things to how you would buy a character with like real money. But at the end of the day, that's just not going to be feasible for the vast majority of players out there. I wouldn't recommend that. This is not a must do. There is a certain extent that I want to take advantage of this, but it's not going to be that. That being said, if you have really good drop rates, let's say up to the 4%, and you hoard as well, say tonight leading into tomorrow, maybe you go all the way up through the 200s. If you do the 200s consistently for over the next 4 days, you can actually get a 7-star unlock. Again, assuming you have good RNG, and we all know how that goes when we really need it to. So that is how the breakdown works over here, and you see that I've highlighted the 3% drop rate, and the reason why is because we're going to do some analysis and try to come to a conclusion here in a second, and I'm going to be using that one. Out of the 4, it seems the most conservative, and even if it's somewhere in between these two, let's be real. Let's not try to plan like we're going to get more than we are. So again, over here, the whole point of this graph is to show you how much energy we just naturally get by playing the game. If you don't do your 50 crystal refreshes, and again, I know I mention this all the time, but I feel like it's probably a good reminder for everyone. What do we talk about when we're talking about 50 crystal refreshes? In the game, up here, we have this normal energy. If you go in here, you have 3 opportunities to buy 120 more energy for 50 crystals. Then you can do it again for 100 crystals. Then you can do it again for 200, 3 times each. Every time it gets more expensive, but you still get the same amount of energy of 120. So if you don't do that at all, which I would not advise that, especially not right now, then you're only getting about 375 energy per day, 240, because that's how time works. And then on top of that, you're getting a bunch of bonus energy that just falls randomly during the day. Not randomly, it's at a set time. But anyway, so over 4 days, you're getting that amount of energy. And then if you do the 50 crystal refreshes, you get this on top of what that gives you. 100s, same deal. 200s, same deal. So depending on how deep you go, this is how much energy that you're going to have to be able to use towards these characters. So from this, you want to take a screenshot of this picture right now, you can start to do the math. All right, if I want a 6-star Kneesa for whatever reason, you look over here and you're like, all right, I need 6,000 energy to get her done. That means I need to do the 200s every single day and probably have some energy from the previous day coming into this. So do what you need to do for your roster, whether it's a 5-star Rex, whether it's nothing at all and you're just watching this kind of for funsies, you're awesome too. And now getting to this final piece here where we're going to talk about a little bit how to get you to your conclusion. If you're looking at this right now, you're like, all right, this is some fun information, but I still have no idea what I'm supposed to do. The goal here is to look at your play style and see how we can get you to the best goal that you can possibly be. So explaining this, we've already explained what the energy is and how that works. But right now, this is going to tell you how many Rex shards you should get on average, assuming a 3% drop rate. That is why these are both kind of boxed in like that. That's what that's supposed to represent. If you are doing everything as the bar says. So let's say you're doing the 50 crystal refreshes. If you're doing the 50 crystal refreshes and going and farming some random light side node, you're going to be getting 120 energy times the, let's do this here, the 0.3 drop rate, which it's actually ends up being 3.6 shards on average. That's a really good deal when you consider that Rex's normal node, which when we look at here, it's 12 energy, and you get to do it, 5 times. Out of those 5 times that you do it, there's a 33% drop rate. You do the math, it's an average of 1.65 shards every go around. So you're getting over double the amount of shards just by going and doing some random light side node. Better than the node that Rex is going to be on for like ever. So making that really pertinent. I realize not everybody has all the crystal income out there in the world, but if you have it right now and you don't plan on using all of it for double drops, this is really nice. I guess if you're not going to use Rex over the next 4 years or something like that, and this is probably a little bit irrelevant, you probably shouldn't be doing it at all. But right now, this is the cheapest way to get him. That, in fact, the 50s are going to be cheaper than even when he goes to double drops. Not even next week, but when he goes to there in a year. So anyways, kind of end ran on that. The 100 crystal refreshes, this is also a phenomenal thing because you are not only getting, again, a better drop rate than the normal node, but you also have to remember you're getting something else out of this. You could be farming Chirotechs while you do this. You could be farming like the CCB relic salvage pieces. You could be farming a character that you don't already have. So this is also a phenomenal deal if you can afford it. The normal node is this, and then the 200s, you should really only be doing the 200s at all if you had planned to at some point buy this character out of the store, the shipments. These are typically a much more premium price, that it's a lot more expensive to get, but I realize there are, you know, kind of middle term spenders out there that want to get Leia as soon as possible, so they go in. I don't think it's gonna be, it's probably gonna weekly shipments. They go in here and they're gonna buy Kneesa or Rex or whoever it is. If you are one of those people, cool, but you should take advantage of even the 200 crystal refreshes every single day here. Try to get as much as you can. That does imply some spending, so, you know, do as you wish. And I will say 400s are garbage. Do not go into the 400 crystal refreshes. It's not a good deal. I mean, I didn't do the math here, but just, you know, divide by 2 one more time. It's going to end up being 0.45, which at that point, you really can't even rationalize that you're getting Kyrotech along with it, because it's just so much worse. Just buy it out of the store. It's easier that way. So that is pretty much going to sum up this video. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. If you think this was really nice of CG to do, or if it's just kind of maybe they're trying to bait more people into going after the last 2 characters. But at any rate, thank you guys for watching, and as always, stay awesome.